Good morning, Nigel. How are you?
Very well, Tony.
Welcome
Pleasure.
to the show, and welcome back.
Thank you.
Pattaya. And
I've never left.
You've always been with us here in Pattaya. With your 22 years in Thailand and your 22 years in the real estate industry, can you please go back from day one until today? What all have you been involved in the last 22 years?
Well, 22 years has been spent in Thailand, but before that I qualified in the UK as a chartered surveyor, and then in '82 I left and went to work in Saudi Arabia for 5 years, working for IBM, looking after their real estate portfolio. And then in '87 I moved to Australia, spent a couple of years working for a Japanese developer called Daikyo on the Gold Coast. And then I moved to Lend-Lease in Brisbane, probably one of Australia's most famous developers. 2.5 years there, and then the chance came to move to Thailand and set up College Jardines office here. At the time they were specialising in valuation, but the idea was to evolve it into a full property services company.
Bangkok.
Yes, similar to CBRE's, Jones Lang LaSalle, etc.
Right.
That went through to around '96, and the opportunity arose to join Raymond Land. At the time, we were just ahead of the '97 crisis, so it wasn't exactly the best time to be joining a property company. And from '97, after the financial crash, we had 56 finance companies closed down, which had a big impact on the real estate sector because most of the lending was to the real estate sector. So projects stopped, no cash, a lot of pain over 5 years. In fact, it took us from '97 to 2001 to restructure the company, which we did successfully. We took it through a bank-assisted court process, a bit like Chapter 11 in the States. So we were able to basically clear all our debt. We transferred all our assets back to the banks, on the understanding if we wanted to buy any back, we'd have the first right of refusal. But actually we didn't buy any back, well, apart from one, which was the Lakes, which was originally going to be an office building. So that was our first high-rise project after the crash in 2003. And obviously we were able to get back onto the stock market, trading again. And we grew quite rapidly. The first project in Pattaya was North Shore, which was extremely successful. People thought I was crazy to come to Pattaya at the time. Certainly my staff did. They just couldn't see the potential. So we bought a partly completed project on Soi 5, completely repositioned it, and we sold it very quickly, very quickly. In fact, probably too quickly, because there was a lot of profit left on the table for the buyers, so we built up quite a keen following of customers. And then we moved to North Point, Loft South Shore, The Edge. I think we probably had a pipeline of about 300,000 square meters of condo, so that was the confidence that we had in Pattaya back in 2000. Yeah, within the space of 3 years. Right. You know, so I could see that the opportunity was here, and I think apart from a very slight hiccup in 2008, the markets continued to grow, and it will continue to grow again. I left Raymond in 2009 and went into partnership with the Brooker Group, and we established Binswanger Brooker, which was a boutique property services company, assisting clients of ours in acquisitions and disposals. But frankly, once you've got the bite for development, it's very hard to get it out of your blood. So for the last 3 years, we've been looking at trying to find opportunities, and we've tried a couple in Pattaya. They didn't work out the way we had hoped, but finally we were able to secure a site, and so I took the opportunity. We recapitalised Kingdom Property. We bought 4i in Prakannak, in Cassettes in Soi 7. And we're planning 2 towers, probably around about 42,000 square meters, and we hope to be officially launching it in November of this year.
November this year. So, right, about the Kingdom Property, it was actually being set up quite a while ago as it's more like a property services company. This is the first time for the company to actually jump into the developments and build your own projects.
Exactly. This is our first real development opportunity. You know, we've had a number of roles in terms of our shareholding in Binswanger Brooker.
Right.
We've done a lot of consultancy work in Pattaya, on Koh Lan, and along Beach Road on quite a large site. So we haven't been out of touch with what's going on in Pattaya, and that's reinforced our decision to focus on Pattaya.
Right, because you see the potential long time ago already that Pattaya will have its great times coming.
Yeah, I don't think it's proven itself.
Right, right. So the first project of the Kingdom property is the Southpoint.
Correct.
So what will be the kind of structures of these projects, meaning like who are your target markets, and how many units, and what's the average square meters and average price per square meters?
Yeah. As I mentioned, the buildings comprises 2 towers, one 20 stories and one 28. The total units will be around about 650, and the sizes 30 square meters, 40 square meters, 60 square meters and 90. So it's very modular. If we find that there's more demand for larger units, then we have the ability to combine smaller units and still stay within our approvals. So we'll test the market. We feel probably the 1 and 2 bedroom will be the most sought after. That seems to be the feedback we're getting from our research. And pricing probably starting about 65 a square meter, most likely. We will target it towards, I think, all sectors. I think obviously the Russian market you can't ignore. I would think most projects here are achieving maybe 20% sales to Russia, so obviously that's an area that we will be focusing on. The Thai market, I think Prakamnak, particularly where we are, is historically been a location that's got some associations with the Royal Varuna Yacht Club, and I think Thais probably don't know it exists at the moment. I think it's quite interesting if you do the research and look at it from a historical point of view. That was where really everyone wanted to live a few years ago. So we're going to try and rekindle that interest, and we're talking to Varuna Yacht Club about certain associations, and so we believe that's an area which is going to fill a gap between Jomtien and Naklur, because both of those areas are getting heavily focused on from a development perspective. And it's not easy to find a 4-rise site. You can find many 1-rise sites and build small buildings, but to get 4-rise consolidated is not easy. So we've been very fortunate to secure this site.
You did mention earlier, before we come to the program, that the tourists play very, very important part in investments itself, because first, if Pattaya and the infrastructure is going along very well and catered for all groups of tourists, eventually they will start to like this town, and eventually they will start to look at investments in this town, and that are your new kind of a target market, in Chinese? Or
I think so. The tourism driver for Pattaya is going to be huge. I think the mayor is predicting something like 2 million Indian tourists within the next 2 or 3 years, which is a significant number when you think today the Russian market is about 700,000. So that indicates the demand there's going to be for rooms. So I think accommodation in general will be the driver for investment decisions, be it bulk purchase of some of the condo-tail properties you're seeing offered, maybe tour groups acquiring blocks of hotel rooms in projects. So I think there's many diverse investment opportunities that are going to be created because of the momentum. Today I think there's something like 47,000 hotel rooms in Pattaya, which are varying quality. But I think the 3 to 4 star market, which is predominantly I think where Pattaya still will be for a number of years, is where the demand is definitely going to be.
The Thai buyers coming down to Pattaya and the confidence which they recently gained, you have actually kind of did a research about this as well?
Yeah, again, the Thai buyers fall into many groups. Obviously, you have people that are buying a lot of the smaller, cheaper units to live in because they work here. So that will continue. And we've seen LPN and Supalai and other developers moving into this market. So their research will be telling them the same. When you look at a slightly higher price, then you obviously look towards maybe the more affluent type investor and obviously the foreign buyers.
So compare Pattaya to Phuket. What we'll leave Bangkok to the last bit. You briefly explain the comparison between these three.
I think most people will say there's no comparison. I think Phuket for many years has been the jewel in the crown, so to speak, and the focus has been on Phuket, and rightly so, because it's a beautiful destination. But it has tended to cater for that five-star brand of traveller, and I think since 2008 that market's been hit, so consequently they've had to reassess their room rates, and accordingly they're also now getting the bulk tour groups, China, Russia and also India now. So Phuket is losing a little bit of its shine, unfortunately, and as I said, that could well be reversed, but just at the moment I don't see that being the case. I think the 3 to 4 star market is where Phuket is going to be, apart from the specialist resorts like Amapuri, Trisara, which are pretty unique and don't tend to get hit by any economic crisis. Hua Hin traditionally, obviously because of the royal family connections, is been a very popular destination for Thais. It's very peaceful. It's got long beaches, and you can find reasonable condos on those beaches. So that demand is still there. But as I was saying earlier, I think Pattaya now is becoming more attractive to the younger Thai buyers who perhaps want a little bit more variety on their weekends. So I think Pattaya is really going to continue seeing that growth over those two markets.
So has any plan of any constructions, any developments in Bangkok with your company?
I think it's probably a little bit early to be talking about Bangkok. Our focus is definitely here because we've got a committed project. We've got 2 others that we're looking at. Hopefully we'll secure at least one of those within the next 6 months. So we've got plenty on our plate here. If something came along in Bangkok, obviously I've got a reasonable track record in Bangkok as well. So if something came along, maybe a joint venture, we would look at it.
Right. Or anywhere in Thailand?
No, I don't think any. I think I've learned something. You've got to focus on what you know, and I don't think anywhere in Thailand is a good strategy.
So you're keeping your home base?
I think you have to focus.
Alright, that's great. Right, so just before you go, Mr. Nigel, can you please tell us what will happen to Pattaya, let's say 2 years from now?
Well, it won't get flooded, we hope. And I think, again, that's one of the factors that's going to drive, unfortunately, because of the problems of last year, any industrial company that is setting up here will think twice before going anywhere that's in a potential floodplain. Because unfortunately, I think to resolve that long-term issue is a very expensive and time-consuming task. So I'm afraid it's not going to be solved overnight. And companies that require this continual output of product won't want to take the risk. So I think you'll find that the industrial take-up in the Eastern Seaboard this year in terms of industrial land will be the highest so far ever. So that's an indicator that the industrial base is going to continue to grow. Industrial base grows, then you've got your service base growing. You've obviously got your accommodation base, you've got cash in the economy. So just on the industrial base alone, you'd have to be pretty confident that Pattaya is going to be well ahead of the field. Already Chonburi is the most prosperous province in Thailand, so that's going to continue.
Will Rayong or Chanthaburi gain from
I think obviously we see it already. Jomtien is beginning to grow and grow and grow.
Another big city.
Yeah, so it'll just be an extension of that, and Rayong will for sure benefit from it. The road links are good, so as Pattaya becomes more expensive, land prices, then people will look for cheaper opportunities.
Yeah, interesting. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is a very interesting talk this morning, and thank you very much, Mr.
Thank you,
Nigel.
Ted.
And we'll hope to have you back to talk about the projects when it is launched.
Yep, we look forward to welcoming you to our launch party.
Thank you very much. This is Tony reporting for the Pattaya Mail Television. Thank you very much.
planning and the implementation is where Pattaya, I think, has got to look to itself to improve. And I think that's something the mayor will try and push, but because it's a special government zone, they have powers similar to Bangkok. They can do what they like almost, and they seem to do that. So I think infrastructure, water, as we know, sewerage, roads, it's a challenge, and I think at the end of the day, if there's a real meltdown, then everyone will be affected. You cannot but be affected. But on the other hand, again, as we mentioned, Russian market, tourist market, it's not necessarily shielded from the results, but a lot of the business that comes here, I think, will continue to come here. And I think the manufacturing industries will also continue to come here. The Japanese will want to bring it out of Japan, expensive cost base, into a relatively low cost base, and so that will continue. But no, it's a worry because everything relies upon the currencies, and confidence is the main thing. As I said, in 2008, my shareholders from Dubai thought it was the end of the world. For Dubai, it was the end of the world, but Thailand, frankly, I don't think there was really any major impact on any property developer in Thailand since 2008. In fact, all of them tended to grow during that period. So I think what happens elsewhere in the world doesn't necessarily reflect it.